Test. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. How much? Need me a little more volume, a little deeper, sexier voice. You want my Barry White? What would you like? Hey, baby. Ladies and gentlemen, I want to invite everyone and welcome everyone to our Flatland Showpigs preview for our farm sale coming up here on March 7th. This is Ben Cooley for Flatland Showpigs. I'm joined today by Cooper Carlson. Cooper is a good friend of ours that has been a friend for a long time, past customer, family's been in the area for a long time, and, someone that I highly respect, and I'm really glad Cooper joined us today. We're going to get his comments on the pigs, but more importantly, guys, I want to thank you guys for tuning in. We are really excited about the set that we're offering up. Just to highlight what the schedule is relative to the next couple days, obviously, we're going to do our Facebook preview right now, and you guys can watch that again, obviously, at any time. We are going to have a live preview here at the farm tomorrow evening, 5 p.m. Mountain Time. If you guys are in the area and would like to come by, a little pizza and pigs action and see these things in person. And then, obviously, the sale is here at the farm. The address, obviously, you guys can see it on the flyer there, here in Moreno, Colorado, and that will be on Saturday, March 7th. You guys can show up anytime after 10:30 in the morning and be able to come by, look at the pigs. We'll have lunch for everyone about noon, and then the sale will start roughly 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time. We'll have online bidding through TaylorFortSales.com. And Cooper, we're going to go ahead and just start off with lot number 1. I do want to mention that to guys. We are going to run these things in lot order. There'll be either singles or pairs or sometimes 3 in the ring, but we're going to run these things in lot order. Should be able to follow along. We've got the sales sheet there for you to look at as well on this live preview. We're going to start with lot number 1. That is 17-2. And Cooper, I'm pretty excited about this one that we're going to highlight here. The 17 liter, you're going to see a bunch of them today. The first one out, Mindset, is the sire. The sow is a trick pony back on a Hero. And in fact, that Hero grandmother would have raised the 4th overall and reserve champion light cross at the Colorado State Fair there in 2024 for the Stromberger family. These light crosses, we have really been honing in on them, for several years here. If you look at our banners above us over here, you're going to see light crosses, for several years. This isn't a mistake. We've really tried to highlight these things for multiple years, and we get to start off with 17-2 here. I love these mindsets. He just raised the reserve overall dark crossbred at San Antonio last week for Albright. That's where that boar is located. Mindset would be a littermate to the grand overall cross gilt at Winter Type last year in Perry, Georgia. I saw that gilt in person, knew I had to use that mindset boar, and we've got one right here that I'm pretty excited about. Cooper, I'll let you get a few comments in before I say anything else.
Well, perfect, folks. Getting back in there and watching the hogs and just kind of standing them up back there before we started this, it's not too hard to see why this one is lot one here at Flatland that's going to start off the farm sale, guys. I think this one is just impeccable in terms of his build and his skeleton, but yet he's got all the extras that we love to talk about, too. He's extended ahead of his blade. He's athletic there. He stands on a big arm. His body shape is excellent. I love the crease that he's working down his back as well. And then he doesn't give up any in terms of hip and hind leg. Again, Cooley kind of stole my thoughts there. I was going to talk about the light crosses that are surrounding this preview pin here. It's one that they are very, very excited about, a set of light cross. I don't care if you study the top side of his pedigree or the bottom side of his pedigree. There's winning and there's power in the blood here. He's lot one for a reason.
Yeah, I think just to talk about these mindsets, and I will several times today, these 17s, guys, they are current 2026 model if we've ever had them. They are sharp ahead of their blade. They're tight in their jawline, yet they explode into this really round rib cage, and you're going to see that stamped in every single one of those as we highlight. I think all 10 of them out of this litter. They are round-bodied, and they're really sharp in their muscle shape up high, which is very, very impressive. And, you know, we always talk about we have to have bone and hair. Yeah, we all have to have bone and hair in the ring nowadays. It's what do you do after that that's going to get you noticed and get you to the winner's circle. To me, that one's impeccable build, hind leg set, along with that much true power and true market hog look in the center part of his body is going to really define him. I know we're not going to spend all the time on every single pig, but I do want to highlight, guys, 17-2 here, lot one is lot one for a reason. We try to make them like that every single day, but it's not easy. That one's pretty special. So, guys, we're going to work through these pigs, and we're going to try to do this, obviously, in an efficient manner in and out of the pens. But this one right here is that one was pretty neat. Cooper, I don't know if you have any more thoughts on that one before these next pair come in.
No, all I'd say is, guys, when they started off with this pig, I think, again, the power that the pedigree has, the advantages that you have knowing that light cross, what he's going to do and how to predict that one, being able to feed one for whatever kind of show you're after. If you want to hit it hard, you can. He's got the running gear to do that and to max out. Then you got it all the way into the fall. So, again, you're going to see a lot of these 17s. Cooley touched on it there just a little bit about how extensive that litter was. We got another pair of gilts here that are coming in.
Yeah, actually, we talk about the 17s. That blue leadoff has a belted brother that's out in the ring right now as lot number 2, 17-4. And to me, this one is the same mold and same caliber that we just touched upon with his brother. That's the leadoff. Lot 2 is just the dark belted version. And obviously, you know, there's so many shows now that have that either a dark cross and a light cross, both divisions. Hey, you got to win them both and just two-hole that deal at Colorado State Fair would probably be my advantage point here. You just buy both litter mates. This one right here, guys, I'm very excited about. Same type of look ahead of his blade that we need. Round body cage, impeccable hind leg and running gear. If we can get him to show off there, just his bend and flex out of his hip and hind leg is just absolutely incredible. 17-4 here is another one that's been a very outstanding highlight in that litter from the get-go. We'll get your comments on that one before I talk about the gilt that's in the ring.
I think the big thing that I wrote down on this barrow walking in the back, and then it really shows it is when he comes out here all shined up. I love this one's skull. I love the shape of his skull, his ear set, his jaw, how everything reads there is so unique. I know you're going to get looked at as soon as you come in the ring. You're going to catch a pin early just with how impeccable that guy is built from the side. And then when you come back out to get sifted again, he's not going to get outmasked. He's not going to get out horsed. He's got the running gear to last all the way to the end. I really, really think that this set of 17-liter barrows that are lots 1 and 2 are built for the long haul, and you'll be dang excited that you come and buy those too.
Yeah, I'm glad you touched on head shape and ear set, Cooper, because That is something that I noticed immediately in this mindset litter. Tight-eared, but with a stout skull. Those two things usually don't go hand in hand. Sometimes we get a little bigger ear with a stout jawline like that. These ones do it the right way. So neat barrow right there. Not to take away from this belted gilt out in the ring. This is 12-5. That's going to be lot number 3. And that's the first one of these 12s we're going to talk about. And that's a Fear Not. I'll back on a Stay Strapped first litter gilt. Fear Not is the litter mate to Stud Monkey there at Laird's. And I'll be honest, Stud Monkey has had a really good run this winter, and some of those have been very popular. I'm not sure the Fear Nots might not even be better. The storyline, I guess, from the feeders down south is they might even like these Fear Nots and how they're feeding even better than the Stud Monkeys. But regardless of that, this kind of partial belted or broken belted gilt right here is absolutely packed with true power. I mean, it starts at her skull, the width between her eyes, with the top of her pole right there, and then the amount of power that she has. That is a big, stout arm on that particular gilt. I think there's some versatility here when it comes to this 12-liter gilt and where you want to take her.
For sure. I think it doesn't matter if you're going to have to play against the boys or if you got your own gilt division at whatever show you're going to take her to. She's not going to be outmatched. She's not going to be outpowered. That is a dense-made female. What I think is real neat, and what I try to teach the 4-H kids is we start at the ground on this gilt. She is big-footed. She is big in terms of her dew claw. She is big in terms of her arm. You know that that's going to match up high, and when you start to study that and know that she's got the ability to get as big as you want and to run her for as long as you want, and she's never gonna want to fade out on you or loosen on anything. She's got the skeleton to do it. She's got the skull shape to do it, to be a big girl and play with the best of them there. Love this really dense, narrow-belted gilt.
Yeah, I think the window of feeding this one can last a long time. I think she could run as a market hog if you're looking for one there the end of July, early August. And then if you want to take that one on and show her as a big breeding gilt later on this fall, she could do that as well. We're going to see some litter mates here a little bit later that maybe didn't get as much milk as this one did. This one decided, I think, to take the whole sow and take all of the milk off of her. But that one's pretty neat. So, guys, a pair of really neat belted ones here. The male, again, 17.4. He is the one that's going to be lot number 2. That's another one of those mindsets. And then 12-5 is the belted gilt. She is lot number 3. Well, Cooper, we don't slow down with lots 4 and 5 coming in the ring. We're going to take advantage of another couple 17 litter mates. The barrow is what we're going to start off with first. That is lot number 4, 17-3. He's the wide belted one there, and maybe a little bit different than his litter mate. We'll get your thoughts in a second that we just looked at. This one comes with even more punch, and I think just center body mass, and he's got a big pin set on him. He looks like a stout one. He looks like a true man. And we talk about that in the ring all the time. In the end, men win shows. Albright and I talk about this all the time. We like those cute little ones with the tight throats and the neat jackpot look early. And yeah, they can get along. I will tell you, when it's all said and done, you got to be a true man to win a big show. This one looks like a true man in 17-3. We'll get your thoughts on him first, then we'll talk about his littermate sister.
Folks, again, not to sound like a broken record, but you study these guys up front or at the ground, however you want to start it. And, man, just power, mass, and dimension. I know that's the easy thing to talk about. That's the first thing most folks see when they come to the farm and look at baby pigs or when they're looking for their prospects of any livestock. But you talk about one who is dense-made, who is big over his blade. He's creasy down his back, and then he's square-pinned, but yet he is still good in terms of his hip and hind leg and where he's setting it as he gets out and goes. Really like that athleticism and how he handles that. Definitely the denser option, in my opinion, than some of the litter mates that we've seen before. But man, he still has a good look. He reminds me a lot of the barrow that was actually third overall at Colorado State Fair. What Cooley just said there about men win shows, that one was a man. He gets it done, and he goes up there, and he's third overall. And so this is the kind of hog where I read a lot of that. Love his center cage, love the athleticism in this one, but yet you know you're never going to question if you're stout enough because we can take this one, we can get him home. That's always going to be the first thing that you see when you walk into your barn.
Yeah, I'm glad you mentioned that barrow that was third overall last year from us at State Fair. I agree. He was a round-caged man, and this one reads very similar. Let's talk about the litter mate gilt over here, and this is the first of several gilts that we're going to highlight out of this litter. This is 17-7, lot number 5, and that traditional belted one there, that is one, I'll just go ahead and say it's sexy female. It is really tough to find them with that cool of neck and throat on them, and yet that big of foot and hairy legs and a round body cage. Oh, I mean, this one gets me pretty excited. I think this one has potential to jackpot hard all spring long. You're always going to be in the mix because of just her extras that she brings to the table. And yet in the end, this one has enough power, like all those mindsets in this particular 17 litter, I think, to, play against the boys if you're looking to, say, win a market show at the end. And then obviously, those of you guys hunting pedigrees out there, again, mindset, trick pony, hero. This has been a very potent sow line for us. That Trick Pony mom. Trick Pony was a tricked out never before from GNS that we bought with Hoff Schultes a couple years ago. Ran him across some of our sows here, kept some good daughters. That one is very, very neat. Is maybe she wants to highlight herself, get kicked out of the corner there. But Cooper, we'll get your thoughts on this belted gilt.
For sure. Well, when Slicky can get her finally stuck, I think that you can finally see the quality from the sign, the quality from that 3/4 view for this gilt. The thing I wrote down when we walked through them and started this one for sure was center cage. So round in terms of her rib and body. Know that one's going to feed from that standpoint. She was all dusty back there. You get her wet off and get her oiled up a little bit, and man, that the dark pigmentation, the hair that we all like is right there. But man, again, the cage that she comes with, the pin set, the athletic running gear. I know that we keep saying it, but there's a lot of these 17s, and I'm going to continue to hound on that, how good that litter is, how deep it is, and how you know that there's going to be no guessing game when you get to the end because they've got some dimension, they've got some power, but yet they still got the look and extras that we all love to see and we all love to talk about for sure.
So, guys, a pair of litter mates here in lot 4 and 5. Lot 4 is the barrow, 17-3. The gilt is 17-7. That's lot number 5. Cooper, here at Flatland, we've tried to have a variety of things, to discuss about, but more importantly, some options for our customers. And this solid white deal that we're going to start off with next has been one that we've highlighted, just like our blue program, for several years now. And everybody thinks it's real easy to make a solid white crossbreds. It is not. Trust me. The best breeding plans can get blown up pretty quickly when they start coming out of the sow, and you're going, well, that didn't work very well. But we're lucky this year. So I'm telling people right now, if you're watching at home and you have a Yorkshire classifying show, whether we're talking about our circuit here in Colorado, certain county fairs, the Wyoming State Fair, we need to talk about these solid white ones. And they're not good just because they're solid white. I think they're good because they bring some valuable pieces to the table. So the first ones we're going to talk about, lot number 6, that is 13-3, and then his litter mate 13-12 is out here as well, the gilt, lot number 7. But the barrow, we'll start off with him. These are white flags, back on a cool whip shine on sow. That shine on was actually a that's a York back on a Duroc. There's a true F1 program there that came from RW Genetics there. He's been experimenting, doing some true F1 stuff there back on the great grandma side here. And we would decide to tap into that and grab some of those females that I think have some value in the long run. More importantly here, White Flag, we've heard of him. That's the board Premium Blend Genetics. He's won about every, major Yorkshire breed, white classifying, blue classifying show out there over the last 12 months. We're very, very happy with this litter. You're going to see a bunch of 13s today. This barrow right here, we'll just go ahead and start off with him. I think this one needs a good home because he's got some extraordinary pieces.
Looking here at the notes, it's width between the eyes is what I wrote down on this barrow, and he comes out here, and that is a stout-skulled man for sure. I love that one. Know that he's going to be dimensional there back. He reads true. Then when we get him out here and he really gets to showing off, love his tail root and where his upper hip is, how that thing reads so square from a muscle standpoint, but you get him on driving on the side, and man, he gets that tail cranked up. He's really level out of that thing. I really like him all the way to the end, from the tip of his nose to the base of his tail. Really, really neat looking. Love that look from the side. Again, it doesn't matter if we're just going to try to play the circuit here, if we're going to go to Weld County and looking to win the Yorkshire division and get a piece of it there, or we can go up to Wyoming State Fair. I think that this barrow is a big-time player that has so many neat attributes and things that we're going to see later on as well with some different litter mates. But, man, talk about a barrow to lead off this white division here in the Flatland Showpig sale, one that you can get pretty dang excited about. His skull shape, his athleticism, his levelness of hip, his tail root's big. You know that they're going to be big and burly at the end. What a great barrow to start off this white division. Let's talk about that gilt next.
Yeah, this one, guys, the gilt that's going to come out here, she is 13-12, lot number 7. And I would argue that, might even be more aggressive in her muscle shape up high than her littermate brother. She's going to be a little shy here, apparently, and not want to drive out. But her feature and arm is just as big or maybe even bigger than her brother, and yet, has the power to play against the boys here. Another one, Cooper, real quick, highlight I think a very, very good set of solid white ones today. Get your thoughts.
Well, hopefully she starts to get less camera shy as we continue to talk about her, because there's a really neat couple of things to talk about. That one, again, super creasy, really big in her muscle shape, like that. Like their height of blade in relation back into her spine, and then her athleticism of hip. Think that's really, really neat. Big forearmed, awesome there where she sets it down, square in terms of her chest. Really like that from that standpoint. Maybe just a tick of blue on her eyebrow, not... Just a scar? Okay, well, then we're good to go. So she's still York classifying there. I really like that from that standpoint for sure on this one. Doability, then you want to talk about maybe putting one in the crate or breeding on one. I think that she's got the ability to do that too come the end of her show career, especially when you guys get done showing her as a big breeding gilt, because that one has a lot of very, very cool things to breed around. Some very nice things from that litter for sure.
Yeah, there are a couple in this litter that do have a couple blue spots. She does. I know on camera it may look like she has one. Trust me, it's just a scar there that we're going to be okay with. Not to say that they may not develop a blue spot later. We know how that works. Got to keep them out of the sun and kind of manage that. But I think a pair here, guys, that if you're hunting for one, regardless of color, they're good. But on the added bonus that you get a Yorkshire classifying one, the barrow 13-3 is lot number 6. And then the gilt is 13-12, lot number 7. Neat pair right there. And Cooper, as we keep with the theme of, we have to have a little bit of color diversity. They can't all be black and white. That just gets too boring around here. We do have a pair of littermate Durocs coming out next, I believe. And, we sold a couple of these at the Elevate sale a couple weeks ago. This litter was absolutely amazing. Phenomenal set of Durocs. And very rarely do you ever have a litter, regardless of breed, where you say, I can sell them all. We can sell all of them. And this pair right here, we saved specially back for this farm sale. First of all, they are all the ways, which that sire is the Duroc sire of the year at Laird's, and for good reason. I mean, he stamped them so stout and dense in the way they were made. And then the sow is a first litter gilt. She's a Wintex 312, back on the hammer sow. So this gilt would have originated from Allied Genetics. We bought her as a baby. That hammer sow would have raised the reserve Duroc gilt at American Royal there a couple years ago. She would have raised the champion at Oregon State Fair last year. I think just put one in the sale down in San Antonio this last year, or this very year, this last week. But this pair out here, there's a barrow. He is 20-2, lot number 8. That's the one that trips on right there. And then there is a gilt. We're going to offer one of the gilts there. She only had 2, but I'm going to offer one of them, 20-10. She's lot number 9. We'll get your thoughts on this pair, Cooper.
For sure. Well, being a red hog enthusiast, always knew where we were going to buy our Durocs when it came for State Fair, and what we were going to do, and we were going to do it here at Flatland. It's been a long time coming that they always bring the good Durocs. They always want to make sure that that's one of their showcase litters for sure. And I think these two, besides their counterpart there at Elevate, are two that need to be on your list. It doesn't matter if they're going to stay here in Colorado, if they're going to go north or to any of the surrounding states or back Midwest. I think that they can definitely do it. We talk about this Duroc when we drop them in. A stout-skulled, dense-made kind of a barrow who is so good in terms of his center body shape. He's so good in terms of the shape of his rib. He's not just deep-sided, folks. He has true turn to the top side of his rib. Love how dimensional he is in there. Know that one's going to feed for sure. You watch that one take a lap, and, man, you talk about an athletic hind leg. He's square where he plants it. He doesn't plant on the outside of his toes. He's true and genuine right there. Love the density, love the power in him. And then you just heard Cooley talk about everything that his mama has done, or litter mates, or a relation of some kind. You talk about some power there on the bottom side where you know they're going to feed. You can put a lot of trust in this barrow to be big time come the end of August.
Yeah, then we'll jump on this gilt next. She's the lighter colored one that's going to get on your screen here. She's 20-10, and a little bit different mold than her brother. You definitely hit the highlights on the brother. He is the round-bodied, dense, really good hind-legged one. And then the littermate gilt here, she definitely looks more like the female, which I like to see that. If the barrows look like barrows, the girls look like girls, that's a nice combo that you don't always get in every litter. To me, her elevation up front, her athleticism of skeleton, just her proportions and her balance, she looks like one that can run all fall long. These are Jan 1s, so guys, I think, wherever you have, pedigreed shows and you have to have some age restrictions, that's the age on these Jan 1s. They can run quite a ways this fall, whether you're talking about maybe a market show early or certainly a breeding show in the end through the fall. This one definitely better be on your short list. I think she is a one good-looking female there.
That's what I like about this female is the versatility you can do. You buy her, you take her to State Fair, you let her get some show experience, you pull her out of the sale when she makes sale there because she's that good, and then we go and we take her as a breeding gilt back into the fall. We go to Exarban, we'll roll that, then we can go into Kansas City even, and she's still going to be the freshness that you like, the athleticism, the hip and hind leg. I think everything is going to be there. The longer she goes and she's on feed, the better she's going to get. The stouter, more creasy she's going to get up top. And when you're out here and looking in the pen, she might get just a little bit greener compared to her littermate brother. But you get her out here and you talk about just the versatility that she has. Think about how long these show careers can go, especially on the good ones that are built right, that are built to last. And she definitely fits that mold for sure. I think you buy her early, you show her early, and you show her into the fall because she's going to be in your barn and you're never going to want to let her go. Really like this Duroc gilt. Like both of these Durocs for sure.
So, guys, the barrow, that is 20-2. He's lot number 8. And the gilt, 20-10, lot number 9 in the sale on Saturday. Again, pedigree reads all the way. Wintex 312 hammer on those Durocs. Pedigreed pigs, January 1st is the born on date. Born on date. That's kind of like a Coors Light or something. I don't know if that's right. All right, the next pair that we're going to roll out here. Oh, look, another pair of 17s. We've talked about them already, and here they come. we talked about this light cross division and how impactful it is and just the opportunities to show at those things are, and you can win big time shows. We talk about Colorado State Fair last year, Cooper. The grand overall came out of that light cross division, and here's a pair here that jump right back into the mold, just like their littermate brother that led off the sale in 17-2. This is 17-1. He is a Cryptorchid, but 17-1, lot number 10 is the one that's going to be on your screen at this time. And as Tripp gets him going there, that male there, I want to hear your thoughts, but, the first thing that popped in my mind, this one's probably even more aggressive in his shape up high, more aggressive in his pin set, and probably one than his brother was, and probably just has a notch extra just sharpness ahead of his blade with that dark blue color. I'm pretty excited about this one. Let's go ahead and get your thoughts, and then we'll talk about the littermate gilt that's just, okay.
Yeah, for sure. Well, he's being a bit timid out here, folks. You get here on Saturday or Friday night, do pizza and pigs, and you get this one out and go, and you're going to understand what we're going to talk about next, because this one is big time. I love this one. Actually, I like the darker blue. I really do think that one really showcases where you can go with these blues and pushing the limits in so many different ways. But I think this one gets noticed very early on in his show career, and as soon as you hit that ring, it's going to take a couple steps, and boom, we're going to be moving on, because this guy is so neat from so many different standpoints. This one, again, very dense and burly. Love this guy from that standpoint, like we just talked about, pushing the limits in terms of his muscle shape, but yet there's nothing to be concerned about because we're so good with our running gear. Love that from that standpoint for sure. I think his window of where he can show is exceptionally good. If you want to push him to an end of July, 1st of August county fair and say, hey, we're going to be a man, we're going to be playing there at the 250s, 260 marks, whatever you want to do, I think that one is fits the bill. If you want to sit on him here and get him into the light crosses come state fair time and just have that extra maturity, that extra age advantage that everybody likes to feed on, he's definitely got that look. I think with him being a crypt, don't want you to be scared away from him. Get that surgery done on him early and you watch him grow, because as soon as he heals up and gets ready to go, man, we're going to see a lot of good things. Love the look and extra extension. Again, we talk about his creasiness down his back, the boldness that he feeds out of his blade. So very cool from that standpoint. But man, he's got a littermate sister here pretty right beside him that I've got a few stars about. Can't wait to start talking about her.
Yeah, one more thing on that crypt barrow, guys. It is really tough to get pigs that have that sharp of look ahead of their blade and yet that round of body cage. And I can't emphasize that enough. Those are tough combos to put together. The 17s do that. He's no exception. That goals are at the end of the fall. 1711 is quite the specimen. The last two things I'll say, and then I'll turn it over to Cooper. It is very tough, again, to have them that heavy structured, that big boned, with that round of body cage and that sharp of look, tight ear set on them, and that gilt does it. We'll see if she wants to follow the whip out there, Tripp, and see if that'll help her just a little bit. But Cooper, we'll get your thoughts.
Man, hopefully she gets a showing off here, because this thing is big time. And as a breeder myself, it is fun to see what you can do with each pig in this individual litter. Again, folks, there's like 10 or 11 babies, I think, that made the sale out of this litter. And so you're going to think that they just keep coming, and you're going to see it when you get here on Saturday, how good these things are, how they're all different, but yet they're all so good in their own individual right, and that's why you just got to buy a couple of them just to cover your bases. You never know what judge you're going to get thrown at you come county fair time. We got our judges released for Colorado State Fair there last week, but man, you just better get a few of these things because they're that dang good. What I really like is right there when she's fighting the whip and she was coming at you, awesome skull shape, huge chested, but yet she plants down square. That's what I think is neat about that one when you start her up front. And then again, we studied this one from the side where most judges look at them, and she is so nice in terms of the angle of her shoulder and knee. and how she sets down, the angle of her hip and hind leg. Again, hairy, big-armed, big foot, big, massive tail root on this one. Love the athleticism. Then she's able to get that head out of the top side of her blade with ease, okay? It doesn't take very much to get that look there. Really think that she feeds back into it a tremendous shape. Really love that extra rib cage that she has there, and then the shape that she has up high. Again, couple stars on this one for sure. It doesn't matter if she's got to play against the boys her entire life, or if she's going to be able to be showcased in the gilt show, because she's that good. I really like this gilt for sure.
So again, guys, the pair 17-1 is the Crypt Orchid Barrow. He is lot 10, and the gilt 1711 is lot number 11. Maybe she'll get a better attitude. Trip, make sure those they get a little better attitude out there. My goodness, pet them a little more. I promise. Trip brings these out and works on this green carpet every day with these pigs, and then you get them out here for showcase day, and sometimes they get a little waspy on us. Okay, the next pair, Cooper, that we're going to bring out here, you know, it is amazing in our show pig industry today how feeding window has changed. I remember the days, and so do you, of we buy a pig and we're like, well, he's going to be ready in 6 months, and that's when we have to show him, and then they're done, right? And we got to re-rack and have a different one for, you know, a show even 2 weeks later. It is not that way anymore. You can buy these pigs almost at any point of the season, start feeding on them, and they'll tell you where and when they're going to show. And I have a pair out here that, to me, read perfect for the fall run. It is not too early to start talking about pigs for Exarban, Kansas City, State Fair, Texas. To me, this pair right here jump out right away and say, hey, we can feed these barrows for quite a while. The first one we're going to talk about right there, 12-1, that is lot number 12. That's another one of those fear or nots. We saw the big littermate sister, and you thought I was joking when I said she got all the milk. No, she got all the milk because this one got a little slower start in life, but it might be his advantage or your advantage at home when you buy this thing, because that is one with really big legs, lots of hair, a dense skull shape to him, and a sweet look ahead of his blade. Fear not, back on a stay strapped. That is 12-1, lot number 12. We'll get your thoughts on that one first before we talk about his friend.
For sure. I know I'm guilty of it. When coming looking at the Elevate set there a few weeks ago, I said, all right, when does this one show? When does this one show? And Cooley says, they got to tell you when they're ready. And I think that's so true. We can feed on these things hard. We can feed on, sit on them and watch them grow and mature, and it doesn't matter, because I think whenever they hit the ring, it doesn't matter, honestly, anymore. If they're a lightweight or whatever have you, with whichever show you're going to, the good ones are always going to sort up, and then, man, it's just a game of getting it done, getting them stuck, and being so good and having the extras. And boy, does this one have the extras. You talk about this narrow belted one, just skull shape and ear set again. Really big fan of that one for sure from that standpoint. But then I think compared to his pin mate here, maybe has just a shot more length and extension, not just ahead of his blade, but in his spine too. And I like that about him. I like him at this size to have just maybe a little extra spine there, because we can know that this one's built for the long haul. He's built to be a heavyweight when it comes down to it, and his forearm and his foot size tell you the same story. Like that one from that standpoint a lot. Still think that one is so good in terms of his center cage. Love his upper hip and how square he reads out of there. And then I don't get around a lot of baby pigs very often, but that is a big stout tail root on the top side of that guy's hip. Love that about him. Love what that thing is going to look like when he comes and hits the ring at 280, 290 pounds. I think that one, we talked about, you got to be the man to win, and I think that this one reads all the way to do that. I think that this pin mate is going to be very, very fun to talk about as well, but maybe a longer, more extended option for sure that I still think has a lot of ability. We know they can grow. We saw that litter mate earlier, and so we know that that's not going to be an issue. We just got to let him go and got to tell us when he's ready to show.
Yeah, I think you touched on it briefly there, talking about heavyweight pigs. Not all of them can make a heavyweight anymore. We've made him plenty midgety. There's no question about it in some aspects. This guy still reads like he can be a heavyweight hog in the end. But neat one there in 12-1, which is lot number 12. Lot number 13 is his pen mate out here. That's the first one of the 18s we're going to talk about. 18-6, so he's the broken belted male that Tripp's going to jump on there. So he's kind of got one white leg, one black leg, kind of cool mark there. 18-6, he is a crypt orchid. He's a kayak back on the Watchman sow. Kayak is a boar that's a canoe son there at Lockman's that Whitman and Brian Lockman own together. And we had a litter of those last summer. And, Taylor Ford will remember we pitched those and sold those very well. They won some jackpots down in Texas, some county fairs down there, and got along extremely well. And we used him here again on this particular litter. And you're going to see quite a few 18s today. This is one that, maybe a little smaller, but to me reads like we can feed this guy for a long, long time. I absolutely love this one's proportions. Height to length ratio is right to be able to always balance and look the part. He is tall-shouldered, really extend ahead of his blade with a big stout skull, and then yet he is shortness of back and length of hip match where he's always going to be in style. Balance is always going to be on his friend. I don't want to steal all your thunder, Cooper. Get your thoughts on him. But 18-6 here, this Cryptorchid male is high on my list for a fall run.
Well, you did. The key word on this guy is proportionality, right? That thing is very neat from that standpoint. Those of you who buy pigs early and buy them this small, you need to buy pigs on Saturday that are this size, because you can run this guy into the fall and he's going to be fresh. He's going to be ready to go. And I think, again, if you want to take him out, campaign him early, get the trailer ride on him and get him out to some shows. He's going to maybe be in one of those first dark bred classes, but man, you're going to be noticed. You're going to be in the hunt there at the end of the day too. And then you run him into the fall and he's still the same kind of a barrow that he was a couple months beforehand, because that one is very neat from that standpoint. Like we talked about, his pin mate maybe being a little bit longer spined and a little bit more extended. I like this guy for his proportionality. Everything reads true. His balance from the side, his stoutness, his ear set is wide. The width between his eyes is insane. Love that from him from that standpoint. Then we talk about his shortness of back and how creasy he is. We look at that pin set view right there and where that hawk plants down. It's so true and it's so genuine, yet he's not generic from the side. That's one of the cool things about him, is sometimes when they get too stout, we kind of get a little bit more generic in our look. This guy is not that. He is not the case, and it doesn't matter if he's on the left side or right side. Man, that one is fascinating to see. That one is going to be one that's sought after, I think, pretty heavily on Saturday. Again, fall shows, look in here, because we can feed on this guy, and he's going to be a lot of fun. Get a lot of mileage out of this hog for sure, Cooley.
Again, guys, this pair right here, if you're trying to find one that's going to be ready in July, it's not this pair, right? Don't buy this pair. But if you say, I want to be ready from the end of August on and have one that can probably have multiple options, multiple endpoints, this pair right here on my short list. 12-1 is lot number 12. That's the Fear Not, the first one we talked about. And then 18-6, the Cryptorchid. That is lot number 13, the broken belted male right there. Neat pair. Okay, I think we're going to run out a trio next, another pair of 17s, and then first of our 19s. We're going to talk about, so lots 14, 15, and 16 are going to come in next, guys. And again, you're probably going to sound a little broken, or hear the broken record of these 17s, but Cooper, as we're going to jump in on this trio of gilts, man, I'm excited about them. So the first one we're going to jump on there, 17-5 Trip. That's the one with the spot in her back. Again, mindset, trick pony hero. For those of you guys following along with pedigrees, mindset is the heavy hitter son at Doug Albright's. Just raised the reserve dark cross behind the grand overall at San Antone last week. And then the South Side Trick Pony Hero, that Trick Pony mom, this is just her second litter, did a really good job for us in the summer, hit it out of the park this time. The hero grandmother would have raised the 4th overall barrow at Colorado State Fair in 2024 for the Stromberger family. We came out either, we've got them blue belted or chromed up and black belted, the best of both worlds here. The spot topped one, that is the 17-5, lot number 14. And then we've got 17-8, which is lot number 15. Triple jump on that one next. And we talk about her and maybe just get your thoughts on this pair as a whole between the chromed up one and the belted one and what you think about that pair.
Sounds good. Trip, let's stay ahead and on that lot 15 right there. She's getting out and showing right there. This one is way good. Okay, folks, I think this one is easy to see in the back of the barn. She's easy to see when she gets out here and goes. We talked about having to just cover your bases early on with these 17s, and shoot, you might as well feed a gilt too, because this one is way good. She's going to compete with the boys for sure. And then I think this one, very surprised to see a female like this leaving Merino, Colorado, because this one is way good in a lot of areas. Be very fun to breed around this one and see what kind of baby pigs she has here in the next couple litters, because this one has got some very unique things. We talk about that one's skull shape. We talk about that one's arm and forearm and foot size there. Man, excellent set of running gear on that one. I think it goes with both of these pigs. They're very, very stout. They're awesome in terms of their muscle shape, awesome in terms of their cage. Again, folks, not to sound like a broken record, but you can see that stamped in every single one of these. From there on, they get a little different. The saddle-backed one that we're on right now, I think that one's the denser option right now. She's definitely a little bit more creasy right behind her blade. She's big in terms of her upper hip, like that for sure. She's probably the bigger forearmed and bigger armed one right now, but man, I think that one's density goes a long way. She still is athletic ahead of her blade. Still think that one is never plain or anything like that. Never want to get that impression on her because there's so many good things about that gilt. The one that we're on next, that one is the sexy one of these two right here. That one is the one that you want to say is a killer from the side. That one's extended ahead of her blade. Her length and neck in relation to where it lays in the top side of her shoulder is excellent. Love this one's proportionality and how her spine moves, yet where those rear two set are so genuine and true. And then she's got the extra bells and whistles that we all love to talk about underneath as well. So again, this 17 litter is way good. Really excited to see what would happen down the road with these two. I think there's a lot of versatility. Might as well cover your bases, get them all starred.
Yeah, and then the third one we haven't talked about yet, that is the first of the 19s, and that's lot number 16, 19-3, this gilt here. That's a cash out Stand By Me. And cash out is the boar at TKO that is a money move son that just started this last fall. I really like our cash outs. I'm a big fan of this 19 litter, and they're a little bit different than the 17s we just talked about. If the 17s have more punch and just power to them at this stage, this 19 litter has the long-term feeding right there. A little skinnier middled right now, which is fine. The thing I want to highlight and just talk about these 19s, guys, is the extension ahead of their blade, the height at the top of their shoulder, and yet they have very, very big paws and big running gear, and they have what I call a long, loose hip and the way they just handle themselves around the ring. And this little girl maybe wasn't feeling the perfect this morning here, guys, but don't let that deter you. She's going to be perfectly fine. That belted gilt right there in 19-3. I think if you're looking for one that says, man, I need to just stomp on the gas and feed one and be ready the end of July and the 1st of August, even as a heavyweight, these 19s need to be on your short list, because to me, they can rock and roll, and you're going to have plenty of power and plenty of muscle in them. We didn't talk about the dam here, but it's a Stand By Me. Stand By Me is the boar that I bought with Isaac Beeman at the Threes a couple years ago from Stauffer. We have several of these Stand By Me daughters in production now, and they're going to work. All right, they're going to bring plenty of power to the table. I thought Cash Out did a good job of making them just a little more extended, a little neater looking in our overall skeletal makeup. Get your quick thoughts on 19-3.
Yeah, folks, this lot 16 gilt trying to show off here a little bit greener and skinnier compared to these two pin mates. But I think if you want to be one where you just get one home and you're like, you know what, let's rock and roll for county fair or whatever show, what endpoint you want to go, and I want to feed, I don't want to have to play the game every single week, run her across the scale, wonder what's going to happen and what we need to change. This girl is the option here, folks. I think we put the feed in front of her. We get excited about what we're going to get her on, and then we just watch her change, watch her mellow out in terms of her muscle shape, watch her belly down as well, and I think you're going to be pleasantly surprised because this one, it has the skeleton. She's made right. We just got to get this one able to get fed on, and I think we're going to take all the questions out of the feeding ration. It's going to be what show do I want to take her to in the end to be competitive is going to be the question. So again, that lot 16 gilt, very, very good. This entire pin, these 17 litters and this gilt here, very, very excited to see what they do.
Yeah, I think we just need to take that 19 and get her away from the two big bruisers in this class because it looks like they've been eating all the feed and she hasn't. So take them home, get that one rolling, and you're going to be just fine. So again, the trio out in the ring here, 17.5, the saddleback gilt. She is lot number 14. Lot number 15 is the traditional belted 17-8, and then the 19 litter, lot number 16, 19.3. That's the cash out. Back on a stand by me, daughter. Big fan of that trio there, and I know, guys, some of you are going to be shopping here on Saturday looking for saying, I don't even care about pedigrees, Cooper. I just need a good pig to try to win my county fair, to be successful there in the end. And that's perfectly fine. There are some customers, though, as you're hunting pedigrees, there's some significant, power in the blood here in this program and what we've tried to do. And I think you can see that, highlighted with this pair of 19s that come next. They're probably even more impressive than the littermate we just talked about. Trip has to get a drink of water. What is it? There's no breaks over here. He's over here drinking water. Poor guy. We worked through 18 pigs and he's exhausted already. I tell you what, tough to find good help these days. No, I'm just joking. Take what I can get right now. I'm joking. Trip Kaiser's helping us out here, and he's a top-notch human being. He's been helpful. Yeah. So we're going to start with 19-1. That's the broken belted male pig out there. He is lot number 17. Cash out, stand by me, next level, again, is the pedigree. And more importantly, to me, these read dense. Everywhere I analyze these 19s, density is the term that comes to mind. They're dense in their skull, they're dense in their feature and their bone and foot size, they're dense in their center body, they're dense in their hair, right? And I know that's, we talk about, bone and hair, but there is different hair texture in good and bad. This is good hair texture. They're always going to be dark pigmented. They're always going to have just true substance to them. They're going to look like there's just more to these pigs in the end. And yet, here's 19-1, who I still think is green in his muscle pattern, where you can feed on him and blow him up, which is a nice combo to have. We'll get your thoughts on this one, Cooper.
Yeah, folks, this one, as dense as he is and as stout as we're talking about, he still is relatively green and skinny. He's not the fleshy one of the litter, and he's not the fleshy one of the entire set. So that's what I think this one is so unique from that standpoint. And Cooley, I want to know your thoughts when judging a show, and when I start to evaluate these hogs and we get into, it doesn't matter if it's the lightweights all the way into the heavies, density and true stoutness are always going to play into what that hog is in the end. And it doesn't matter. We can, with a feed bucket and with a good water bucket as well, we can get the muscle shape. We can get the groove down their top. We can get some explosiveness. We can get that depth of side. But does it really match it down low? And on this barrow, it does. This one is big-footed. His toe spread is huge. He's awesome in terms of his lower stifle and his hip and hind leg. And then he is big-ankled. Really like him from that standpoint. And again, folks, if you haven't haven't caught on, I'm a big fan of tails, and that guy is massive there. He holds that thing up high. I think when that barrow gets his head up and really wants to show off, we can see all those good things. And all those, to me, read genuine, true muscle shape, genuine, true power. He is going to be the man in the end. We don't have to do use a feed bucket and a water tub to get him to be that. He's always going to be that. And I think in the end, that's where it's going to pay off the most.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up, Cooper. You asked my opinion. Oh, yes, we can manipulate muscle tissue. We can do that with feed. We can do that with hydration. You cannot manipulate bone and foot size and true density of skeleton. I haven't found a feed additive that will do that yet. I know we try. We have hair supplements. We try to, we say, oh, this will add bone. But let's be honest. They either start with it or they don't. This 19 liter has it. And yet, because they're still green in their muscle, we can abuse them a little more in the feeding process throughout the entire year. Here's one that you can take home and you can turn loose a little bit, and his muscle is not going to outmass his bone. It's going to stay in proportion, which is very, very neat. Let's talk about the littermate gilt. 19-5 is her notch. She's lot number 18. She's kind of the one with the belt in the middle of her body there. That's really neat. Kind of like her sister. We're a little skinnier middle right now, which doesn't worry me at all. What I want you to draw your attention to that one, guys, is her hip and hind leg is absolutely impressive and impeccable. Length of hip, sets down on a huge rear foot, and has this really bendy hind leg, which is tough to get put together. And yet we're green enough that we can go ahead and just feed this one right and left. Anything she wants. Our skeleton's never going to get out of bounds in this one right here.
Yeah, I think this one plays within her skeleton, and it doesn't matter what is in the feed pan, right? We can get this one bellied down. She is maybe the one of the pair that is a little bit creasier up high. Like that about her right now for sure. She's a gilt. We're going to see that for sure. But again, we belly this one down, get her softer back into her stifle with some maturity, some extra time, and we're never going to be out of bounds in our skeleton. Then when we got to freshen her back up, we're going to be ready to go the week of the show, because we're going to have an excellent groove. We're going to have a big hip, and then our hip and hind leg is going to be one of the best out there for sure, because of that added flexibility where she can plant and push and then get away with it too. She's not one of these short-strided, heavy muscle kind of a hogs. She's got enough athleticism in terms of her front end, and then she matches that in terms of her hip and hind leg to be so long in terms of her stride. We're not just square in our skeleton. We got an extra length there, and that's what I really like about this gilt. And then again, we're going to sound like a broken record. You talk about skull shape. You talk about the width that she has there. You talk about chest floor and just true, genuine feature right there in her front foot and her ankle. Love that about her. Really high on this gilt for sure.
So, guys, the partial belted barrow is 19-1, lot 17. The gilt is lot 18, 19-5. Again, pedigree reads, cash out, stand by me. Yeah. Okay. The next pair that we're going to run in here, lot 19 and 20. And we're going to bring in probably one of my favorite 17-liter gilts next here, Cooper. And that says a lot, because I think they're a very deep litter that are highlighted by multiple options there, and a little bit different type and or speed, I guess, depending on where you want to go with them. This one might combine as many good attributes as any of this entire litter. Right? We had some people out earlier this week looking at them, and they marked this one down, is maybe their favorite. And of course, I've got her later in the sale, so that's how smart I am, just the way the pens kind of work together. But we're going to start off right away. Lot number 19 is 17-9, the wide belted gilt right there. And woofda. That one doesn't suck. I'll just say that. Here you go, Cooper.
I mentioned it earlier about letting some of these females go, and man, I spoke too soon. That term needed to be right here on this gilt. As much as I thought it on the gilt previous, I think this one is the true combination. We're not even done with the 17s. There's still some more later on in the sale. That's how deep this litter was. That's how big this litter was. And then for all of them to make this sale, that just proves the quality and the consistency that each of these pigs has within this particular litter. This gilt is way good, folks. This one definitely plays early. Plays for a long time, though, too. She's built right. Cooley was pretty short on his remarks, and other than the fact that this one has about as many stars as you can put on a book, right beside that one's notch on my paper, that one reads so genuine, so unique from how she's built, how her muscle pattern lays correctly in her. She's not just big muscled, her muscle pattern and where it lays on her spine is correct. That's probably the outlying thing. When you really start to study these ones and find things to say, that one and how she does it is correct. That's where I think is words a loss for words, honestly. Big-footed, really, really neat running gear on this one. This one definitely plays at the best of them. If your state fair separates barrows and gilts, oh, she's going to be in the hunt. If you're going to Exarban and you're going to want to play in that market gilt division and give those Midwest barrows a run for their money, this is the answer. This is the one for sure to make sure that you have it wrote down on your paper because you're going to want in on this one.
Yeah, that one that one's pretty good. I'm questioning my sanity for offering her. Not to take away from her pen mate here. Lot number 20 is 18-7. We talked about an 18 already, a really neat barrow, and we're going to get into a set of these here over the next few lots. But Kayak is the sire on this gilt, and again, a little bit different story than the 17s we talked about. These 18s have a very, very sharp look ahead of their blade. This gilt's muscle shape is aggressive on the top side of her skeleton, and yet she's still green enough in her overall build where, to me, we can go ahead and use the feed bucket to blow this one up, get her fleshier. We're not going to get out of bounds because her look and her muscle pattern says I'm going to be a show gilt my entire life. But 18-7 here, go ahead and get your thoughts.
When we drop this one into the pin, she looks or has the look of those early jackpot winning babies, to be quite frank. I think this one is one that we're going to need to feed hard, and I think it's totally fine if you feed this one aggressively because of the way she is in her maturity pattern. But she has the look and has the correct angles and the correct forerib and true, genuine elbow shape and heart shape right there to be fed hard and be fed aggressive, and she combines that with that extra look. I like this one a great deal. She was starred when we dropped her into the pin. I think she just gets another star because of the ability that she has and the ability to go hard and be able not to be nervous when you get her back in the barn and say, okay, what do we got to do? I think this one, we feed on her. We get her to go. We get her into the jackpots early again. I think when she bumps out into that dark cross division, we can say, man, that one's got the look that we like in a baby pig early on, and then we're just going to be aggressive there, belly her down, and get some extra flesh on her, and everything's right there.
So again, guys, the pair that's in the ring there, lot number 19 is 17-9. That's the wide-belted mindset gilt out of that very deep litter. Lot number 20 is 18-7. She's the Kayak. Those of you following along and listening there to Cooper, if you haven't guessed already, I didn't really do a good job introducing Cooper other than the fact that he's a good stockman, grew up in this program, judged at Northeastern Junior College, judged for the University of Wyoming, and then is in this goat deal really, really heavily. And you probably pick that up maybe by some of your terminology. The creasing them out over there, that I would give him a hard time about that. But a good livestock mind is Cooper, and I think you can see that in his discussion and description of these pigs as they come out into the ring, and we just talk about different feeding windows, Cooper. And I think we get into a trio of pigs next here. We're going to talk about lot 21, 22, and 23. We'll hit on 21, 22 first. That's another pair of those 18s. So 21, we're going to jump on that one first. That's 18-1. That's the wider belted barrel right there. Again, Kayak is the sire on this one. We had some of those this last summer. They fed and showed extremely well. I'm a big fan of this particular barrel right here. We talked about it, a little brother earlier, but to me, this one, Cooper, goes ahead and fits the window of you need one ready, 1st of August for a county fair. He can do that. He can also run all the way into later August and be perfectly fine in 18-1.
Yeah, we talked about his crypt rather early on, and I think that one was big time. And then we dropped this guy in here, and this is the non-crypt option. So why not, if we want to play it safe there, we got this guy. And I think even though he's further down or halfway through the sale, man, I think that we better figure out how to get this sale order fixed back up for next year, because this guy is way good. We got to keep everybody around, though, and I understand they can't all be lot 1 through 5. This guy is way good. He's big time. This one, in terms of a county fair barrow, if you're just set on winning a county fair, we got to look in here. If you're set on hitting a sale spot at a state fair and being in contention when the division comes up, we got to look in here, because that one is way good with how he handles himself when he works through the ring. I think that one, when he gets out and actually drives, we can see this one. We talked about their muscle pattern and their muscle texture earlier on in a couple gilts. This one's proportions and how that muscle pattern reads is so fun to me. I think this one, it takes out the guesswork from that standpoint. We're going to see this one continue to get stouter all the way through. We're going to see this one's added spine, flexibility, hip and hind leg, how that one is so jacked up there out of his top side of his hip, just come true, come so genuine as that one turns and drives away. From the tip of his nose to the base of his hind leg, we see a lot of stoutness and power, yet the muscle texture, everything reads right. It's so genuine there. Really, really high on this barrel for sure.
Yeah, we'll jump to his brother next, 18-3. That's the lot number 22. That's the one with the black leg over there, and kind of fun colored, right? I mean, I know that's not everything, but there's going to be some people on game day or sale day here that says, man, I really want a fun colored one that gets me noticed. And there is something to that. Here's one of those. He's maybe not quite as far along as his brother we just talked about. He's a little greener in his look there, Cooper, but that one has the same sharpness of look ahead of his blade, and then a very comfortable hip and hind leg, and probably one that I think, like the whole litter of kayaks, you can go ahead and abuse them a little with the feed bucket, and you can push on them, and they're not going to get outside themselves. That one is sharp ahead of his blade. I love the way their head shape and neck lays on the top side of their skeleton, and they have this really tight throat about them, yet we're still round-bodied, and we have this really correct and comfortable hip and hind leg that works on us here. Those are the ones that, to me, read like we can go ahead and feed on them, and we're not going to get out of bounds. What's your thoughts?
I actually think that if your plan is to buy this cool colored pig and sit on him, I don't know if that's the right option, folks. I think we have to be aggressive with the feed bucket. We have to get him home. We got to get that game plan, and then we can have fun with him, because this one, to me, reads where we got to be aggressive with how we need to feed him, and he can handle it, like Cooley just said. Going to these shows, it does always help if you got a little extra something to get a second look at. And folks, this guy is so neat in terms of his design and look. Love this one's ahead of his blade. We talk about his tightness of throat, yet stoutness of jaw. We talk about that one maybe being greener and skinnier in terms of his muscle pattern and his texture right now. But as that one walks across the ring, we can see that hip and hind leg moving. We can see that front end coming. And then again, I think if we're aggressive in our feed program and we want to make sure that we get after it and we can feed that kind of feed, doesn't matter if we're feeding Primo, if we're feeding Mormons, whatever it is, they've all got a feed that's going to be able to get this one blooming, and we're going to get him to where he needs to be come show day. I think this one's pretty impressive from that standpoint.
Yeah. The one we haven't talked about yet is the non-18 litter. That's 13-2. Lot number 23 is what he's going to be. That's a white flag. So We talked about the white flags earlier. We had a pair of white ones out there. When the litter came out, she had a bunch of them. I can't remember how many she had, 14, 15 of them. They were all white or blue except this one. He was the sole one in there, so I don't know. Maybe the semen bottle got mixed up a little bit, but not just joking. We can get white flag, belted and chromed up white flags. This guy right here, though, 13-2, to me reads like one that you're going to be really happy in about 3 weeks with this barrow. He is a little skinny middled right now, and that's perfectly okay, but his bones are big. His arm is big. And, talking to my good buddy, Ralph Hinton, he had some white flags this last summer, and he said, Cooley, they started off maybe just a little skinny, and he didn't know how much they were going to come with. And he said, they get to about 100 pounds, and they come with some stuff in a hurry. And if you've seen white flag in person, that is the boar. He has a bunch of stuff to him. This one right here, height of shoulder, length ahead of our blade, design is absolutely cool, and he's got that cool chrome pattern there. I love his color pattern, going to get you noticed. And like I said, he's probably going to be under the money on game day, on sale day here. You're going to be really happy in about 3 weeks when you get this one home.
Yeah, you're going to look pretty smart when it comes to the first week in a jackpot season when everybody's here and everybody passes on this one and you're the one that gets them. You get them home, you feed them like the pig that we just talked about, even though they're not litter mates. Be aggressive there with that feed bucket early. Be aggressive with it all the way through, and you're going to look like one smart son of a gun when you're the one with at the backdrop with the big banner, all right? This guy is really neat. I think as we talk about those white flags earlier and we talk about what this guy does, very similar with a lot of his litter mates that we've seen run through the ring. But we talk about that white flag boar that's standing in stud. He is massive. He is big forearmed. He is everything that you want in a show barrow, and I think this guy does that. We talk about making heavyweights. This guy has the skeleton to do it. He's got the length. He's got the running gear to do it. That's where I like to see that one come into July all the way through August, is a heavyweight barrow, because that's where you're truly going to appreciate everything that this one does.
Yeah, final thoughts on him, guys. I think you can step on the gas. You can feed him aggressively. If you're wanting one to go win a jackpot early, he's not going to be the one, right? There's barrows that win jackpots and are ready early, and there's barrows that win shows in the end. This is one that to me reads like he's can win in the end. You just got to be patient with him and go to town. All right, the three that we again wrap it up here are 18-1. That's kind of more the where's he have more traditional belted one in the corner there. 18-3 is the one with the black leg, tag number 22, and tag 23. That's the 13-2. That's the white flag. Nice trio of barrows right there that I think have a wide window for you. The next pair that we're going to bring in are a pair of 13s as well. We're back to some white and blue ones here out of this litter, a pair of gilts. Again, this 13 litter Cooper was absolutely impressive. The day they were born, looked good. They've been good on the sow. They've been good the whole way through. I can't emphasize it enough, guys. If you are looking for blues or Yorkshire classifying ones for your show and you have that opportunity, better come and take advantage on Saturday, because they don't always grow on trees. And we have a pair here that we're going to jump out with next that I'm very high on, pair of gilts in these 13s. The first one we're going to talk about, lot number 24, that is 13-13. That is actually this gilt here. Hey, Chip, you don't have to tear up all of my ring, today. Okay, that's okay. I hope you got that on camera. Did you get it on camera? No, I didn't get it on camera. Okay. Good. It's just in the comments. Okay. 13-13. That's the one with a couple blue dots on her forehead. Believe me, I thought she was all white. Trip and I the other day, we were clipping this one off, and I'm like, ugh, son of a gun, a couple blue dots. But that's okay. This one is stout. She is stout in her bone work. She's stout in her muscle shape. Everything about her reads like we're going to have some punch to us the whole way through. Of the 13s, she's got as much extra stuff to her just in terms of density of skeleton, heaviness of structure, in true muscle shape as anything. We'll get your thoughts on her, then we'll jump over to our all-white littermate.
Yeah, walking through the pigs earlier before we started, just kind of writing a few things that stick out. wrote down easy to see, right? This one is the one that just is, hey, look at me in this pin or even the surrounding pins because I am that good, all right? I am a lady and I look like a lady, but yet I can play with the boys. And this one is very cool. And I think we talk about what the bottom side of that pedigree does with that cool whip bore, being a woke son, if I'm correct, Cooley. I think that's what that one is out of. And man, you talk about the power there in the blood. We talk about what's exciting in terms of those sow lines and what we can do with those and how we know how to feed them. And this is one that you can get pretty excited about. Again, it doesn't matter if we're going to just show against the girls or if we're going to show against the boys. Our stoutness and power, our athletic running gear is there. Love this one when we get a shot of her with her true skull shape and size, and her stoutness and jaw just reads true all the way through. This other one, a little bit different speed, a little bit different story than what we have on this blue eyebrowed gilt. But as we get this all white one, this Yorkshire appearing one coming in next, one that is definitely greener and skinnier, and that's all right. I think this one, again, we can be aggressive for those families who say we don't want to play the game. We want to just be able to get one fed. We got to get this one going, and I think we can do her just fine, and then we're ready to go. And it's going to be a no questions kind of a deal come the end of July, 1st of August, or even we can roll this one, I think, into the mid-August, especially into 1st of September as a big breeding gilt, because we're going to be so neat. We're going to be so sexy ahead of our blade. We're going to be athletic there. We're going to have proportions and balance from a foot and bone standpoint to a muscle standpoint. That's where I really like this gilt too, is we're going to be proportional and good balance, not just from the side, but we're going to have that extra bone column that matches the muscle shape up high, and it's not going to be some kind of deal that's just going to be tampered with a feed bucket. Cooley, what do you think about that?
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. I think it is. We talk about proportions. That's a term that gets thrown out around a lot in our show pig world nowadays, and it can mean several things. To me, the bone matching the muscle is the biggest challenge nowadays in these show pigs and how it all blends together. These white flag pigs look like our bones going to continue to mature and get bigger as we get older. That doesn't always happen with our show pigs nowadays. Let's just be honest. That's the one. Running out of bone is the most frustrating thing. We're not going to have that in this particular litter. 13-8, guys, she's solid white. She'll classify York. If you're looking for one that says, man, I need to have a good look to us, be a big heavyweight in a Yorkshire classifying show, 13-8. She is tag number 25. And then her littermate sister we talked about with the couple blue dots on her forehead, which I'm not saying you couldn't go take care of if you need to manufacture something. It's the way it happens nowadays. That's 13-13. Certainly one of the sale highlights out of this particular litter. She's tag number 24. So 24 and 25, guys. The next pair that we're going to run in here, ladies and gentlemen, we get back into a couple smaller ones. All right, we talked about versatility. We talked about the 13s, probably going to be ready to roll into July, early August. Certainly could be ready by then. The pair that we're going to talk about next, we talked about earlier of running all the way through the fall, being ready in September and October. This pair right here, I think, should be on your short list. We've already talked about some of their litter mates. Here's a pair right here, guys, that's going to come into the ring in lots number 26 and 27 that have me pretty excited. The first one we're going to jump on there in tag number 26, that is 12-2. That's the white-footed, kind of almost solid black one, but he's got enough white on him to make him fun. That is another one of those fear knots, and I can't express it enough. This boar's going to feed. These pigs are going to feed out of this boar. 12-2 right here. He has me just as excited as his littermate brother we talked about earlier, maybe even more so just from his proportionality standpoint and bone matching mass up high, and then length to height ratio is Trip will get him to show off there and kind of get his head up. That one is going to be fuzzy. He's going to be wild looking ahead of his blade, and he's going to have big feet and legs with a with a kind of a tight throat latch, which is tough to have that combo. I like that one a bunch. And then his pen mate that we'll talk about here momentarily, that's the kind of the white, black, and more traditional black and white one with a little bit of skunk on his forehead there. That is 18-5, tag number 27. That's another one of those kayaks. But go ahead there, Cooper. Let's hear your thoughts on this pair.
You know, we did not show into the fall very often. We usually took the small ruminants over and did that and played that game. And if we would have had our hands or ability to get some of these back in the day when I was showing, man, I would have loved to get your hands on this one, because you're not going to be disappointed from that standpoint. We talked about his litter mates earlier, being proportional, being ready to go. And guys, this one's no slouch either. Again, Cooley said, enough white there on his foot just to kind of make it fun for sure and to be intriguing. But when we talk about this guy's density, and it starts up front with his skull shape and his size there. Love this one's roundness of cage. He is true in terms of his shape out of the top side of his skeleton there. He is true all the way down into his heart and his full rib. Love that ability for that barrow right there. As he turns and goes, you're square up into the top side of our hip. We're massive in terms of our stifle. I think this guy, again, has a big feeding window. We can take this guy out. We can be in that first class of dark cross reds all day long throughout the summer and be fun there. We take him to Pueblo, play in that first class of dark crosses there as well, and then we're ready to rock and roll all the way into the fall. I think that one is one that you're going to get a lot of mileage out, and if we have to be able to get one, we're not just geared at one show. This one is your guy. I think this one is one you're going to take to a lot of shows and get a lot of money back on you. He's going to be a good investment for the kids there in the show barn and on the trailer. The one that's going to come in next, Cooley, you want to talk about that pedigree one more time before we start in on them?
Yeah, the wide belted kind of skunk faced one there. That is 18-5, tag number 27. Kayak back on the Watchman again. Those kayaks, we talked about them, just a great look. And maybe if that one wants to get his tail up and roll there. Real quick, there's a couple skunk faced ones. He does have that. I personally hate them, but that's what they made dye for. Cooper, and we can do that. I'd go ahead and dye that forehead if I were the person. But regardless of that, I absolutely love this one's stoutness of arm, roundness of body cage with a really neat look ahead of our blade. I think there's some versatility in this one as well of where you want to take him. I think he can be a lightweight there if you want to, early part of the, late or July, early August, but then to me has the ability to go ahead and, be fed for the long haul.
For sure. What I get excited about is this may be even aging me, but we got some breaking rules on the bottom of that pedigree too. And that boar, when we're injecting that into whatever generation, it's going to be there. It's going to be one that we can be confident in all the way through. Really excited. As that guy gets out and goes, even when he doesn't get his head up and jacked up there, we can see that one's ability to be so flexible out of either end. Cooley talked about the front end. I'm going to talk about those rear two and how massive we are in our ankle, how square we are going away, and then how just dimensional we are directly from stifle to stifle. Big tail root, big skull, a lot of density, a lot of pig in this hog for sure. That's the best way to put it. But man, I think that this guy is way fun. We sit on this one, let him just get out and go and then grow, and we're never going to question if we're going to have enough muscle in the end.
Yeah, guys, I think that's one of those things that you have to analyze early in these pigs. Everybody thinks they want to feed an old one. Everybody says, oh, well, that's easy. Well, it has to be the right type of pig. And to me, if you're going to feed them old, they have to have two things. They have to have true roundness of body. Check, this one does. And they have to have true muscle shape. Check, this one does. Then you can sit on them and you can manage them a little bit, right? Everybody thinks, oh, it's easy, just make them old. No, it's actually very, very hard, and it's a challenging feed job, but you have to start with the two characteristics that this barrow has in 18-5. He's got it. Roundness of cage, true muscle shape. So the pair again out there, 12-2, that's lot 26. That's the white-footed one. He is the fear not. And then 18-5 is the kayak, lot number 27. Oh, here we go. Yeah. We're going to run out a pair next here, guys. These are the first of the 14 litters, and it is sired by my favorite boar pig, period, out there, called Vanilla Gorilla. I have no idea where Drake Cook came up with Vanilla Gorilla and the story behind it, but that is the most badass name, period, out there. And hence we have some solid white ones out of Vanilla Gorilla. He's a solid white woke son that there is at Drake Hooks, and we've got a pair for you right here. We have a calico and we have a solid white one. The calico is 14-5, tag number 28, and then 14-2 is the solid white male, Yorkshire classifying, tag number 29. Again, Vanilla Gorilla, cover shot, back on a true F1, actually, a next level, going back to a York Duroc true F1 back there on the grandma side, which is kind of cool. But I don't care what color, whether you like them calico and you want to run in that division, wherever they fit, or a solid white male. Here's a pair here I'm pretty excited about. Want to get your thoughts, Cooper.
Well, if Vanilla Gorilla is standing at Drake Cook, we know that they're going to be what today's standards for barrow shows are, right? They're going to be dense. They're going to be stout. They're going to be big forearms come show day, and then we're going to be trendy in terms of our hair. We're going to be trendy in terms of our muscle texture and where we're ahead of our blade as well. This calico does the trick. If you guys like a little bit of color, this will be the option for you then, because I think depending on how your shows work, if he's a light cross or dark cross, Cooley, to be honest, I still don't understand what makes him a light cross and dark cross when they've only got a few black spotches on them. But man, I think that this guy can compete no matter which one it is. I love this one when he gets out from the side, all right? That's when you study this barrow, and his true levelness aligns, his athletic spine that he's working in him, his length of hip is so intriguing to me for his length of body as well. We can get out and we can flat motor. We can be long strided, we can be square, we can sit down even on our rear toes. Not all the time does that happen. We get to pushing on every once in a while on the outside, but we can sit down even, and that's where I like this barrow for sure. We're really trendy ahead of our blade. We get this guy bellied down and get him softer back into his flank, and we can feed on this one. Be really excited. Be excited to see what he looks like come show day for sure.
Yeah, I'm glad you brought that up. You know, to me, this pair and probably the litter in general reads like we can go ahead and feed them a little aggressively early on here. And I'm a big fan of that. To me, you have to develop muscle tissue in these pigs early in order for them to have it in the end. This pair right here, we start with the calico, or we talk about his solid white litter mate, 14-2. That both of them read, hey, I can go ahead and get after it with the feed bucket, flush them up, belly them up, get them powerful enough in terms of just muscle shape, and then yet their skeleton reads correctly. And we talk about the solid white one here, 14-2, that's tag number 29, lot number 29. Yorkshire classifying one, for those of you guys that need to have one of those. Yeah, he's a little skinny right now. I wouldn't worry about it, because the indicators of width between his eyes, stoutness of forearm, and toe spread says I'm going to have plenty of natural density and heaviness of structure to me in the end, and we're not going to get those proportions out of whack.
I had this one wrote down on the book when I was out back, and this one, when he comes back in and you drop him in here, this one's my speed all the way. I don't mind being a little bit skinnier or greener in our muscle shape because of how he reads in his skeleton. We talk about that one's just true foot size. He's cracked open in his chest, and he's good in terms of his toe size and his spread there. I love this guy's athletic spine that he's working in, and I talk about that quite a bit. But when you really want to get this one to be a heavyweight contender, no matter where you're at, later in the fall, late into the summer, whatever it is, and we want to be 280, we want to be looking like a man, this one is the one, folks. This one is green and skinny now with huge upside potential. The ceiling's high on this this one because his rib is correct, because his hind leg is correct. It's bendy, yet we're not just overly done there. We got good length of stride there. Love his athleticism. But again, going back to the hard to makes, we can't make his skeleton better. He's genuine there. He's square in terms of his toe size and sets him down correctly. Then it's so good in terms of his center body, his cage. He's going to set that muscle up high. Even though he's skinny, this one's my speed. Very, very excited to see who feeds on this one for a Yorkshire appearing state fair contender for sure.
So again, the pair out in the ring, the Calico is 28, 14-5, 29 is the solid white one, both sired by Vanilla Gorilla. Looks like those two want to go eat some more feed too. Need to. I did a bad job feeding this morning. Get them all put together. I think we've got a little bit of a variety in the next pen that we're going to run out here, guys. There's going to be 3 of them, 30, 31, and 32. We've got a 15-liter male and then a pair of 18-liter gilts. And this is the first of the 15s we're going to talk about here. Hey, and when I said, Cooper, that I have to have a little bit of variety relative to color pattern, we've had solid white ones, we've had solid red ones. We've got a solid black one that's going to come out here next, all right? And I know maybe that's not everyone's favorite speed, but I'm telling you, there's more and more of these shows that are putting in a solid black division. And regardless of that, I think this one has some potential down the road. So we're going to get rolling here. Hey, cameraman, what are you doing over here? Is he talking to his... talking to his fiance over here and get Taylor lined out. Okay. We're going to start with 15-2. That's the solid black male. That's a cash out. We talked about the cash out boar already at TKO. I absolutely love that boar, and I love these pigs for one simple purpose. Their heaviness of structure is true. They are skinny muscled, which is perfectly fine at this stage, but their heaviness of skeleton is absolutely incredible, where you can use and abuse them on the feed bucket, and that black one right there reads to that kind. Let's talk about him real quick, then we'll jump into the pair of littermates.
Cooley, I bet it was tough getting this baby pig out of his mama. I mean, his stoutness, his skull.
Talk to Caleb.
Oh. I mean, this one is genuine, folks. This one is so neat, starting at the tip of his nose. I love his skull shape. I love the width between his eyes, the width between his ears. What's going to feed next is going to be pretty impressive there. No, it's hard to make baby pigs that have this, that still look like that from the side. He's got that extra length of neck, but it comes out of the top side of his blade. We're not there shooting out of the center portion. It's because we're correcting our angles in terms of our shoulder and knee, allows that extra neck set to come real athletic and yet still be so good in terms of the way we move. Really like him from there. Excellent in terms of his muscle pattern. Really think that one's nice from that standpoint. A heck of a hog here to play in an all black division, or if we just got to be a dark cross, we're going to be stout. We need to be dark, we need to be tanned, and we're going to be one of the ones that's easy to see come show day when we hit the ring. It's going to take a couple steps. We're going to be noticed. We're going to be pinned.
Yeah, guys, again, if you're looking for one that says, oh, I need to go win a jackpot next week, it's not him, okay? He's a little skinny muscled. You're going to have to feed some into him, but we're going to be there in the end because his heaviness of skeleton is right. The pair of littermates out here, the 18s, we're going to start with 31, which is 18-9, I think, there in the corner, and then we'll talk about 18-10. Those are, again, a pair of those kayaks, and I can't emphasize it enough, and I want to get your thoughts one more time on it, but it is really tough to make stout-skulled, stout-jawed animals with a tight throat, and then it attaches correctly at the top of their spine, and every one of these kayaks do it. They're all built exactly the same. When that front 1/3 is assembled the way it is, of blade shape, knee set, skull shape, attachment to their spine, everything after that just follows correctly. You know, Taylor Fort talks about that quite a bit when he takes pictures. He said, Ben, if they can never get their head above their spine, they never take a good picture. I don't care how good. He's not that good, all right? He just makes sure he goes and finds pigs that can make sure they look good in a picture, all right? Good, right? Yeah. Or somebody that can get their head up. But these pigs right here, these kayaks, and it's true with 18-9 on your screen now, right now, guys, everything after that head and blade shape is going to fit together. It doesn't matter if she's belly down and the most fleshy right now. We can change that with the feed bucket. I can't change the way that one's built up front. You guys, if you're at home and you say, I need a good feeding pig that's probably going to be just a little under the money on game day, but bones continue to get bigger and they're always going to look like a show pig, I gravitate toward these 18s right here.
Yeah, folks, I think this gill right here is one that is so impressive with her skull shape and size. We talk about that a lot, but man, I think when you're evaluating baby pigs, and there's a lot of baby pigs selling right now, it doesn't matter if it's a live sale or an online sale, we gotta have the intangibles right now, and I think she does it. She's good there, head of her blade. She's extra sexy there in terms of her length and neck and how she goes. Even if she never just totally jacks her head just clear up, man, when we're high-headed like she is though, and it's just a natural headset, that's what I like about her, is she's just naturally wanting to get out and go. It's because she's made right in her skeleton. She sits on a big foot and bone. She's the one of the two that we're going to talk about here that's got just a bit more punch right now. She's bigger out of the backside of her blade. She's more dimensional there all the way into her upper hip. And so if you want to say, man, I like this one because of what she does now, and know that there's going to be no questions when it comes down later, we can actually even mellow her out and just let her grow. I like that option for you for sure. The one that we're going to talk about next, we probably got to feed just a little bit harder on for sure. She's a little bit greener and skinnier. She's just smaller in overall frame size, if you will, right now too, Cooley. But we start talking about this one is one sexy deal for sure. I love this one. Length of spine, her athleticism out of either end. She's the one that does want to crank her head up really high out of the top side of her shoulder. So if you like that look, love that for you, because this is the one for sure. She's a little bit longer in terms of her spine right now, but she's also greener in terms of her muscle pattern. So when it comes down to who you can actually call which one which, probably don't know which one I'd put my chips on, but two completely different types of gilts here that are both have a lot of really cool things that are hard to make because their skeleton is right. The rest is going to come in later. Cooley, let's go ahead and talk about her.
Yeah, I think just to wrap up this pen here, guys, you know, those pair of 18s, again, you're going to be very happy when you get them home here in about 3 weeks, because they're going to continue to mature, flesh up, belly up, and you're going to go, woo, I think I did pretty good on sale day. I probably didn't have to break the bank for one of these pigs, and yet I have one that is built right for the long haul. That's how I read them. So again, the trio that's out in that pen there, guys, 15-2 is the solid black male. That's the cash out. And then 18-9, which is lot number 31, and lot number 32, 18-10, those pair of litter make kayaks. Just another very deep litter. You know, I don't know how many of those 18s we had. Obviously, we could look on here, but man, they seem to be a bunch in the sale, and they all are stamped very consistently in what they do well. And in fact, we're going to jump right into another one here next, 18-2. And then, oh, look, another 17. We talk about a pair of ones that can stretch to the fall. This pair that we're going to jump out here probably fit that mold as much as any when we're going to talk about 18-2 and 17-10, lot 33 and 34 that are going to come out next. The first one we will talk about, lot number 33, 18-2. Again, we just got done talking about the littermates, these kayaks, the belted male over there, guys. Again, I'm a big fan of this pig. I know he's a little further down the sale order. You already called me out on it and said I sucked at putting my sale order together. Trust me, it's not the most envious job to ever do. You have to just they're in pens, and you kind of just throw them out there and say, well, good luck, have fun, people, buy the ones you like. I like this one. This one right here has the right combination of that great look ahead of his blade, the right length of body with a big forearm and really stout feature and hairy legs, and yet his roundness of cage fits everything, where he's a green muscled one right now. Yet I know I can go ahead and feed on him, and I'm going to be perfectly fine in the long run. To me, that one has a long show window. And then we'll talk about him first. Then we'll get it over to the cute little blue one.
You hear us keep talking about this 18 litter, and then we're going to talk about the 17 litter. Not only was those 2 litters extremely large, they made the sale. They're good. They're all high-quality animals, and that's where it shows where you can have so much confidence, I would say, not only just in terms of what's on the top side of his pedigree, but what's on the bottom side, because the consistency throughout generations have made these pigs look like this. And then again, we're getting down into the list, but folks, there's that many 17s and 18s. We couldn't have them be lots 1 through 20. We had to push them all the way through. And when we get into this, and he's lot 34 of 44, some of you guys are going to start to panic come Saturday and say, well, man, what do we got left? This one's one of them, but we also got to be cognizant of his frame size and where he's at right now. Not only do I think this one has the ability to show well into the fall, and you get a lot of mileage out this one, I think he looks his best when he gets out, when he gets that late. If we push him, that's fine, in some areas, but I think we let this one just get out and go and just be a pig. I think sometimes we forget that we just need to let these hogs be hogs and get out and be able to develop their skeleton correctly, develop their bone column, develop their muscle texture, and the rest is going to follow. And honestly, it probably plays to our advantage when we let these ones just be hogs for a while. This guy does it. He's excellent in terms of his cage. He's excellent in terms of his muscle shape. Big time show barrow that I think reads screams fall run all the way through. Very excited about this one. The blue gilt, I can't take my eyes off her. Very excited. One more time, Cooley, let's talk about this 17 litter pedigree before we describe her.
Yeah, one quick thing. I'm glad you brought it up of letting hogs be hogs. We just had a really good barrow down in San Antonio that was third in a heavyweight or other cross class that he never got jackpotted. He never got shown. The Mabry family grabbed him, put him out in the outside pen, and he was one of those that was not going to be a good jackpot hog early. They just had to feed on him. And I didn't even know if he was still alive until Mabry, messaged me about a month before San Antonio and said, hey, this one wants to be a show pig. He looks pretty good. They brought him in and started rolling with him, and he turned into a man. And sometimes that's all you have to do. Not every one of them, guys, is going to be ready to go win the first jackpot. And don't get frustrated if they don't. It's okay. There's still intention and goals with all these pigs. The blue belted gilt. She was the little one in the litter. This is 17-10, a high quality litter. And honest, Tripp and I were probably the most surprised with her once we clipped her head off the other day, because she was a little fuzzy one her entire life. And then we clipped her head off. I'm like, oh, looks like we might have something here, Tripp. Guys, I don't know when she shows. Early, often, and maybe forever. I know that is believe me, I'm not trying to make yearling show pigs. That's not usually our goal. However, the reality is the fact that this one looks like you can feed her till Phoenix next year and be perfectly fine. She can show, forever and always be fun to look at. 17-10, another one of the mindsets back on the Trick Pony Hero sow. Excellent litter, and this is I think the last one we're going to talk about in the particular sale. Maybe I saved the most versatile one for last.
Yeah, versatile would be a good word for this one. We saw her bigger contemporaries early on. You buy one of those and you win early, you win often. You buy this one, you win at Phoenix later on, okay? That's how good she is. That's how good that litter is. And to go back into power in the blood, the consistency in this litter, if you take her all the way to Phoenix, you get her in that shiny gilt sale that's that night, you're going to have quite a few hands raised when we start selling this one because of the quality that we have. And then I firmly believe when we start talking about her that night in Phoenix during the sale, we're going to talk about how winning this litter was throughout the summer and how many big shows they did. And it's only going to help you when we get everything done there, wrapped up there in Phoenix. I think this one is so good. Excited to know that she was fuzzy. She still is fuzzy and hairy, but to know how hairy and dense she is, we don't have to worry about that. The hair is dripping off of her. It sets right, though. That gilt is a heads-up hog who is extremely good from that standpoint. Love her proportionality. Everything matches. Really think this one's cool. Kansas City, here we come. Phoenix, here we come. One that you're going to want to have in your barn all summer, because if you don't have her there, you're going to get beat by her in the later shows.
Yeah, crazy that we talk about Phoenix, here in March, but sometimes that's just the reality of the show pig world we live in. Yeah. So again, guys, the belted barrow out there, I'm a big fan of. That is 18-2, another one of those kayaks, and then 1710 is the blue belted gilt. She is that mindset. Great letter there. Well, I wanted to make sure with our sale order, though, we kept people engaged the whole way, and we wanted to make sure that they still had fun ones to talk about all the way through, and that pair certainly does that. The pair that we're going to come into next here are tags number 35 and 36, another pair of 13s. And again, another deep litter that we were talking about, Cooper, of if you guys are on the hunt for Yorkshire classifying pigs, if you have that advantage, or a light cross division, either way, this pair jumps right out you. 13-11 is the one we're going to jump on first. That's tag number 35. And again, and then our littermate 13-9. These are white flags. That white flag boar, proven himself, absolutely wonderful sire, very deep litter here. Let's talk about these briefly.
We get into some more of these white flags, and everybody is probably smarter about the white breed or the white flag boar more than I am. But, man, I think that this gilt reads just true all the way through. It doesn't matter if we want to talk about her skeleton. She's correct there. Her angle of her shoulder, the angle of her knee, and her front ankle is excellent. Then I like her out of her hip and hind leg. She's got the right length from her hooks to her pins that allows that one to hinge such a loose hawk. Love that one, just ability to get out and motor. She's the one of the option here in these two. She is ready to go right now. She's bigger and creasier in terms of her muscle shape. She's maybe just a shot fleshier right now than the one that is standing right beside her. But, man, I think that one is very good. Excited to see what she looks like as a big gilt there later on into the summer. The other one there, Cooley, I'll let you have a few words here before we get talking about her.
Yeah, I think just to wrap up on this pair, that 13-11, she is all white. She will be Yorkshire classifying. Her littermate 13-9 over here does have a few gray speckles on her hip, so just FYI, I would not say she is Yorkshire classifying there. You may have to manage that a little bit. She's the skinnier version. There's no question about it. She's a little greener at this stage. But again, if you're hunting for one that says, hey, I can probably just put the coals to her and be ready to roll end of July, early August, to me, that's her. We'll just kind of wrap up with this pair. 13-11, that is tag number 35. She's the solid white one that's a little more ready today. Her skinnier littermate on camera right now. She does have a few blue speckles on her. 13-9, tag number 36. Pair of white flags, guys. Pretty excited about this litter. They've been deep the whole way. The next pair that we're going to run out here, guys, are our pair of, out of the next pin, 37 and 38. We've got a 15 litter. We've talked about one already. Another solid black one because, again, we go from solid white to solid black. I like to make sure this sale is it has a little bit of a variety all the way through and a little mix and match, as we like to say. And then we got another one of those 12s, the last one of that we're going to talk about, that very impressive Fear Not litter. So the first one we're going to jump on there, Trip, is going to be the solid black male 15-1. Again, that's out of that cash out boar. And again, a little bit like his littermate we talked about, skinnier muscled right now, greener in that way, but his feature and bone and heaviness of skeleton is absolutely impressive. And he's another one of those that I guarantee you get him home in about 3 weeks and he gets to be separated from all of his pen mates, and he gets to just eat all the feed you want him to. You're going to be very, very happy. That's the way I read these cash outs, that they're a little bit greener early muscle wise, and then pour the coals to them. They're going to come through with a tall-shouldered, heavy-structured, big-footed, stout-mugged one that actually has look ahead of his blade, and the solid black one. And then the belted one, we talk about her just very briefly so I can get your comments on both. That's 12-4. Tag number 38. That's the belted gilt out there. She's another one of those fear nots. We talked about her big sister at the very beginning of the sale, a couple smaller brothers that stretch to the fall. This one's probably a little in between on size, but to me can go be ready to roll there anytime all summer long. But I think her real potential becomes big one in the fall breeding gilt show.
Trip, go ahead and stay on that lot, on that gilt, lot 38. That one is so incredible in terms of her skeleton. Love that one's look. We talk about wanting to be able to grab a pin early. We do that with her because of what she looks like. But then she has the wheels to drive all day long and never make a sound. We can get that one explosive in terms of her back, but yet her joints are correct. We're going to be able to just let that one go. She's never going to get tired out there. She's going to be the stamina queen because of how flexible she is. She's barely going to be breaking a sweat. The black barrow here, that one is one that reminds me of a barrow we bought from Flatland a couple of years ago, who were just like, you know what, we need a barrow who's stout. We need a barrow who's got the big foot, who's got the big forearm, and then who's still good enough looking. We can get some muscle shape later on. That's exactly what we did, and that's exactly what this barrow looks like. We talked about it earlier in a couple different hogs. Even though his muscle pattern is green and skinny, it lays correctly on top of his spine. That's what I like about him. But you really start breaking this one down and really want to evaluate and say how genuine muscle, how genuinely stout is this barrow. All it takes is one look up front for him to drive at you, and you see the width between his eyes, you see his mug and how stout his jaw is, the width between his ears, and then you're done. Because after that, you know that he's a man amongst boys. He's going to make it to a heavyweight or even a middle heavies, 270s, whatever you want to end him at, and he's going to be the one that screams power, that screams good look, that's going to have a good enough hip and hind leg, and is going to be flexible there. But folks, if you want a power hog that's still good looking, this is your guy, because his skull, his jaw, the width of his eyes, the width of his ears, the width of his pin set is the real deal for sure.
Hey, so again, the pair out in the ring there, the solid black barrow is tag number 37. It's another one of those cash outs. And then tag number 38 is the chromed up gilt. I like her a lot. I put a couple stars by her. I don't know why she's down here in the sale order. 12-4, that's another one of those fear knots. Just a couple pins left here, Cooper, that we're going to kind of highlight some pigs on. But as we talk about the versatility for customers out there, I know we have customers coming to our sale on Saturday. They're still searching for good county fair pigs that are going to be ready to roll into July, early August. We have plenty of those options. And then we also have stuff that can stretch all the way September, October. So again, guys, anymore, if you're still hunting for pigs here in the state of Colorado to fit that variety, that's going to be offered here on Saturday, no doubt about it. All right, the trio that we're going to run out here next, we've got 39, 40, and 41. 39 is 19-4. That's the big belted gilt. We talk about one that got all the milk. This one got twice her normal amount and comes with the extra power. That's another one of those cash outs on a Stand By Me. Again, a gilt, guys, probably she does not need to be fed hard. So we'll let Cooper go ahead and just talk about that one real quick in 19-4.
Yeah, she got a good start to life. That's the best way to put it. We are good to go here for a long time, but I think that is fine. If we're going to hit that county fair, we're going to mellow this gilt out. We're going to make sure that we don't blow any rear wheels. We're going to be good, because right now we're there. We're set and square in terms of our rear toe. We're set and square in terms of the plane of our skeleton. We slow this one down. There's never a question about it after that, because we're going to mellow that muscle shape out. We're always going to have it, so when it comes a week before show day, when we're ready to roll, we get the electrolyte bucket. We start kind of amping on these hogs just a little bit more, and it's going to bloom right back up. All right. We study that one's just skull shape, skull size. Those cash outs, man, every single one of them. If we go back and replay the clip, I think we talk about skull shape, skull size, and jaw on every single one of those cash outs. She is no slouch in that area. She's big muscled, ready to go. We want to make sure, though, that we mellow this one out, though, so that we don't end up calling Cooley here in a few weeks and say, we went too hard too fast. Now what do we got to do? Let's just start right at the beginning and we'll be good. Trip, I think the gilt is the one that's next. Cooley, how about we talk about her pedigree real quick, and then we'll talk into her discussion.
Yeah, that is lot number 40. That's 18-8. That's another one of those kayaks, guys. And this one probably is the most aggressive in her muscle shape and power at this stage of the game. Still has the same skull shape, neck, jawline set, and front blade shape that her littermates have. She came with a little more extra in 18-8.
Yeah, for sure. I imagine you can see it there on the online. Taylor's getting that back shape right there. That's the one that's fun to look at. As soon as we get into this pin, and as you guys are walking the ring or walking the pins tomorrow and Saturday, you're going to see that one. All the baby's going to come running up to you, and you're going to look down and say, that one is her for sure. We need to be one that's cautious there, but again, aggressive in terms of our shape, aggressive there in terms of our muscle, just like the gilt we just talked about. Maybe a bit more cautious with the feed bucket. We want to just let that one be a pig, like we talked about earlier. Let her roll slow, and there should be no question. Toes are plant right, we're good. Toes go with the nose, as the old judging coach always says, and that's never one to stray away from. If we start getting wonky right at the ground, we're going to have issues later on. When these ones set square right at the surface, that's when we can be confident in it. We're big up high, we're big in terms of our hip, we're aggressive there in terms of the tail root, and we're aggressive there all the way down into our stifle and down into the seat of our pants there. Like her from that standpoint for sure. Cooley, let's talk about that last one.
Yeah, the final one, guys, that we'll talk about here is 16-3. That's tag number 41. That's a Wilbur, and he's the only one that made it here to sale day. Sometimes that happens in litters. They don't all turn out like the 17s and 18s, and you get a bunch of them in here. But the one we got here, I do like, and he's a little bit opposite of the two gilts we just talked about, where they're really aggressive in their muscle early. This guy, probably a little bit greener. He's the opposite type of feeding program. He's a Wilbur, which is that Boris Dan Schlei's back on a buckle up sow, and I think we talk about buckle ups and what they've done for our industry in terms of just making them heavy structured with a very tall blade, with a big forearm in him, wide spread between his toes and wide spread between his eyes. For a green patterned one in terms of his muscle shape, he has the ability to go be a big heavyweight, in my opinion.
Yeah, I like the heavyweights. I like the hogs that scream, hey, you just pour the coals to me, and when I'm ready to show, I'll let you know. But we can also say, I want you to be a 280, 290-pound hog when you look your best, and he's the one that does it, all right? Buckle up, obviously no slouch. We know what's going to happen there, and so when we have that much confidence there on the bottom side of the pedigree compared with Wilbur, I think that this guy has that look, has that density, has that true width and dimension there. One of the bigger footed, bigger ankled ones that we've seen here towards the end, and I really like that from that standpoint for sure. Greener in his muscle shape like Cooley just mentioned, but when we jack that tail head up like he does and we're that big and solid there, oh man, excited to see. Again, he's in a pin with two gilts that are ready to rock and roll and have a lot of muscle shape and a lot of density. Don't overlook this barrow, because when he comes in the ring and you're sitting in the stands on Saturday, you're going to say, man, what was that guy? Where was he at? And then you're going to get beat by him because you're going to be too slow because he's built right. He's built for the long haul. Really good pin here. As we get wrapped up, we got one more pin, it looks like, left.
So again, the trio that are out in the ring here, 19-4 is tag number 39. That's the big, stout, powerful belted gilt. The little chromed up gilt is 18-8, the kayak. And then the barrow, 16-3, tag number 41. He's the Wilbur. Guys, as we get to our last pin here for her Saturday sale, we're going to finish up with kind of a trio of solid white ones again. And I think you guys are going to be happy with what you see here. Again, a versatile set of hogs that can fit a wide variety of shows. So we have one that's shy. There we go. We got them all out here. Okay. So we've got a pair of 14s and then a 13. We'll start with 14-8, tag number 42. She's the one that's probably just a little more modern and aggressive. So again, those 14s are Vanilla Gorilla, the coolest boar name out there. Dre Cook, congratulations. And then back on a cover shot female. So 14-8 is the one that's on screen right there. Solid white, Yorkshire classifying. To me, a round-bodied, very moderate one. Aggressive power in her, but short-backed, and to me, a long feeding window. And then her litter mate is the one that's just a little bit skinnier, 14-9. We're going to put the end of the whip on her. We'll get your opinion on that pair right there.
Let's hop over to that first one Cooley was talking about, the first one to sell out of this particular pin. Get excited about this one for sure. As soon as she comes in, you're like, oh, all right, here we go, because this one's proportions, her length of body, Cooley touched on it, the feeding window, the mileage that we're going to be able to get out of this gilt is very fun. And when we get into those bigger, heavier weights and we need to switch over from market to breeding, she's still going to stay fresh enough. Her hip and hind leg are still going to be impeccable right there. I think you can just study that one's length, the hip, her flexibility, and how far she plants that hawk after her tail root. It is so incredible there. We get that one all the way into Phoenix if you wanted as a big Yorkshire appearing gilt. Man, be excited to see what she looks like, because there's a lot of good in this Vanilla Gorilla that we have here on screen. The skinny littermate sister that's going to come in next, the last Vanilla Gorilla that we're going to sell on Saturday, one that is definitely the greener one of the pair, all right? This one is the one that we need to feed hard on because she is skinnier and she's not just quite as fleshy and as ripped up. But if you study the litter mates, that's when we know what's going to happen, right? We know that everything's going to feed true. We maybe got on a bad teat. We maybe just got shuffled off and got a harder start at life. But when we talk about what is going to be with our bigger litter mates, this one, why not, folks? It's the exact same. We're going to see that all the way through. We also got the hair. We also got the foot size and the toe spread on this one, which just screams big things later on in life. Very excited. How about we touch on the pedigree of that white flag gilt that's going to come in and round us out?
Yeah, I'm glad you touched upon hair texture, because to me, this Vanilla Gorilla litter, their hair texture is absolutely amazing. And I know those are things sometimes we think, oh, does it really matter? Yes, it does, guys. It absolutely does. You have to have it. The final one on screen here, that is 13-10. That's the final one, the round out the sale, lot number 44. Solid white gilt, another one of the white flags. To me, right proportions, right look, just a little skinnier than her litter mates that we talked about earlier. To me, though, she probably does have the best hair of all of her litter mates, which probably is going to be her advantage. Again, guys, I think a trio that we round out the sale with here in tags number 42, 43, and 44, solid white ones that'll be Yorkshire classifying or light cross division, and lots of versatility all through the fall. As we send them on out, guys, we will wrap up with a couple things here. Again, the schedule here at the farm, Cooper, is going to go ahead and read like this. Tomorrow on Friday evening, 5 o'clock Mountain Time, you're more than welcome to come on out and have some pizza and look at the pigs. We'd love to have you out here, 5 o'clock Mountain Time. And then on Saturday, we're going to have these pigs to be able to look at early in the morning, probably anytime after 10. You can come on out. We'll have lunch at noon, provided by Saltcraft Meat Market, and a really good meal for everyone to be here. We'll have a banner presentation there right before we start at 1 o'clock Mountain Standard Time, and then we're going to have live bidding here at the farm as well as online bidding with TaylorFordSales.com. Make sure you go ahead and get registered online ahead of time and be ready to go. If you have any questions between now and sale after watching this preview, call myself, call Brian, call Taylor. We'll have our numbers there that you guys can jump on and get a hold of us. Be happy to get a project for you. Thank you, guys. Thank you, Cooper, for joining us today. Really appreciate you, and we'll see you guys on Saturday.